Are you thinking about moving to Minot, North Dakota? Because we're going to talk about housing prices, cost of living, education, job market, and of course, even the winters. So if you're relocating to Minot, then this is a realistic overview of what to expect. And before we even talk about housing prices, we need to know exactly where is Minot? Where are we? And Minot, I have the circle right here. This is North Dakota. So Minot is a population of 47,000 people. We're located on the western side of North Dakota, and we're 60 miles south of right here, the Canadian border. And Bismarck is North Dakota's capital, and we're 110 miles north of Bismarck. And Minot is also home to the Minot Air Force Base. And you'll see in the location of Minot is we have easy access to the Bakken, which we'll tie in later to when it comes to the economy. But this is an overview of Minot to where it is located in North Dakota. And first thing we're going to talk about is cost of living, a snapshot for 2026. So the last 6 months for a single family home, the average sold price was $310,000. And property taxes, they vary by neighborhood and assessed value. And there's plenty of websites to go on and see assessed value of properties and look at what tax bills look like. However, there is an awesome program going on, and it's called the North Dakota Primary Residence Tax Credit. And accepted applications, they can receive a credit up to $600 on their property taxes for their primary residence. So it's an awesome program that the state of North Dakota is doing. So if you can get that credit, it's a great deal for your property. And heating costs, they can peak during the wintertime because of course it's cold out and you need to heat your house. Now let's talk about what different budgets bought you last year for a single family house in Minot. Now I have 3 different brackets here, and I did all the boring work for you guys. I've got spreadsheets going through all the data and analytics for the numbers, so you don't have to do all the boring work. It's all right here for you guys. So in the price bracket for $200,000 and $300,000 for a single family house that sold last year, the average year built was 1955. And 3 beds, 2 baths, that's what the average came out to be. And also with square footage, the average size came out to be 2,000 square feet. Now, of course, take that with a grain of salt. Some basements are unfinished versus some are. Or maybe you have, 1,300 square feet above grade and you have 700 that's unfinished. Each house is different, but the average total square feet, to help you understand maybe how big the houses are, is 2,000 square feet. Now the next price bracket we're going to talk about is $300,000 to $450,000. So the average year built for all single family homes that sold in Minot last year in 2025, the average year built was 1987. That's when the average year was built. And that could also be a little bit deceiving as well, because there's some homes that were maybe built in the 80s that were completely renovated, look like a brand new house. So that's just, the average year built on here. Wanted to have that in here for educational purposes. And it came out to be 4 beds, 3 baths. That was typical. That's what the average came out to be for this price bracket. And the square footage rose from 2,000 square feet to 2,500 square feet for the $300,000 to $450,000 bracket. Now, $450,000 plus, average year built is 2003. And of course, there's new construction homes that are built in 2025, but there's also some homes that are in this, average that were 1970s or even older. But that's just the average year build for homes in this price bracket. And now you're looking at 5 beds, 3.5 baths. That's what the averages came out to be. And coupled lastly with the square footage, now the average square footage size was 3,500. So that jumps up quite a bit from 2,500 to 3,500. But again, maybe that might be way too big for what you're looking for. So each house is different. That's why it's always good to compare homes, look at comps, and do research on other properties as well. So hopefully this slide gave you a good snapshot of what happened last year for different price brackets for a single family home. Now let's talk about schools and education. So Minot Public has 9 schools that are located in Minot. There's 2 high schools, and there's Minot North that's been recently built, but there's also private options if that's something that you want to do as well. There's 2 private schools here in Minot. But Minot also has a university, Minot State University. So Minot has really good education, and the programs at Minot State are also really good. And now let's talk about the fun slide. The fun slide everybody wants to talk about. And that's winters. What's the honest truth? Well, it's pretty cold and wind is common, but you'll adapt. But kind of a big pro underrated thing is no mosquitoes. Those bugs are annoying and don't have to deal with them. Don't have to deal with any bugs, when it's cold outside. And let's look at the average January temps in Minot, North Dakota. So the average high in January, the high is 21 degrees. The average low is around 3 to 4. So your average temperature overall is around 12 degrees. But that's not including wind. So if you have 30-mile-an-hour wind when it's 12 degrees ambient, it's pretty cold for what the feel-like temperature is. So That's Minot. Winters, it's cold, but you'll adapt, and maybe you like ice fishing or doing other winter outdoor activities. So there's always a way to spin it, even though it is cold, no bugs. Maybe you like doing outdoor activities, so it might not be that bad for you. Now let's talk about job market and economy. So Minot's in a really good spot position-wise. So out west, we have the oil and gas, various other energy products, and Minot has Trinity Health. They employ a lot of people, and agriculture is really strong in the area too. We have great farmers and ranchers in the area that do great work. And Minot also has an Air Force Base, right? So there's big, huge influence on jobs. And I didn't make this bullet point, but Minot is projected to hopefully get a North American pig iron plant coming here in the future. So that'd be really great. That add in a lot of jobs and do a great boost to our economy. And Minot also has a BNSF railway. So we have railroad, we have close proximity to the energy out west. We have agriculture, Minot Air Force Base, BNSF, but we're also position-wise on really good roads. So Highway 2 running east and west, this goes all the way to Montana, going out west, and all the way east to Minnesota. So great for travel, for trucking. And if you go up north here on 83, that leads you to Canada. So you go from Canada past Minot all the way to Bismarck. So we have Highway 2 running east and west, Montana to Minnesota, north and south on Highway 83 going to Canada and all the way down to Bismarck. And also this road right here, Highway 52. So this goes down to Velva, Harvey, and various other roads. So Minot's in a really good position for trucking. We're in a good position for a railroad with BNSF. We have good energy out west. And overall, Minot's in a really good spot. And all these great jobs lead to high demand for housing. And that's why we'll talk about in a little bit that this market can be pretty competitive when it comes to buying a home. And here's some things that people don't expect about Minot. Maybe they don't know anything about Minot, the community, the culture. And it's North Dakota nice. You could talk to anybody on the street, have a conversation with them. People aren't looking down, maybe in a subway you might see in a metro area. People are nice here, have a great conversation. You can have great neighbors. And also when it comes to Minot, you have quick accessibility around the city. I mean, take you 10 minutes, you can go from anywhere in the city with not that much traffic. But also there's plenty of nightlife activities. We have movie theaters, bingo, plenty of bar and grill scenes. So there's always something to do at nightlife if that's something that you want to do. And lastly, Minot has, I think, pretty strong safety. We have great law enforcement here. We have great firefighters. We have great military presence. Minot's a pretty safe community in my opinion. And if you want to raise a family here, you'd feel pretty good about the safety aspect. And that leads to, is Minot the right fit for you? And it's a great fit if you want affordability. I mean, look at the price of a house here, the purchasing power, versus maybe if you're relocating from California, Minnesota, Florida. You just kind of look at what homes can get you there and what it can get you here, and it might be a lot more affordable. And maybe you want that smaller city feel. You don't want the crazy traffic. You want it a little bit smaller. And lastly, military relocation. So maybe if you live in a state where home prices are really high, you don't want to live on base, and you look at the housing affordability, and it might be a great idea to maybe purchase a house. It might make sense. But however, it might not be ideal for you living here for anybody if maybe you want that major city life metro. Maybe you like the Minneapolis scene where you have the Minnesota Timberwolves, you have the Minnesota Vikings, you have big, huge events going on all the time, big, huge concerts going on. Maybe if that's something that you like, might not be a good fit for you. And maybe you want mild winters. You don't like the extreme cold that can happen here. Maybe you just want mild. Or maybe you don't want any winters at all. So that might not be ideal for you living here if you want any of these things. And here's a little quick overview. If you do want to live here and buy a home here, here's a quick overview. So it's highly recommended to get that pre-approval letter before you start looking at homes because it could be pretty competitive. Talking about the job market previously in other slides, these are awesome, great paying jobs. That leads to high demand when purchasing a home. So if you're not ready to rock and roll, then you might get left behind when it comes to buying a house, or maybe you're missing out on that house. And average close time, if you're getting a loan, you could expect to see 40 days-ish. If you're buying home cash, of course, that could be a lot lower. And maybe you are relocating from California, Texas, and you're in the military, and say, hey, can I buy a house sight unseen? Maybe I got orders are going to be here in Minot, and I don't have time to look at it. The perfect home popped up, and I'm not there. Can we buy it sight unseen? Yes, you can. I've done that in the past with a military client. Of course, there's risks with that, but you could do a FaceTime showing. there's ways to navigate a sight unseen purchase. But people do it, and it's something, if you want to explore that option, we can definitely talk about that by shooting me a message. Hopefully you found this video valuable. We talked about a lot in terms of Minot. It's a great place to live, and if you're moving up here and want to learn more information about buying a home, or simply maybe if you do live here already and want to sell a home, my contact information is in the link below. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.